Seattle, Washington. 7:42 a.m. The alarm rang for the third time, and 17-year-old gamer Alex Morgan opened his eyes reluctantly, as usual. His room looked like a typical gamer's lair. A gaming chair, neon lights, 2 monitors, a new generation console, empty Mountain Dew cans and pizza boxes. He rarely cared about the outside world. The main thing was a stable internet connection and sound in his headphones. It's Friday. That's right. An update to Outbreak Protocol, he said to himself as he turned on his PC. His friends Jaden, Kimmy, and Bryce were already chatting on Discord. They were planning to spend the night playing the game's new zombie mode. But there was no connection. Discord wouldn't load. Steam froze. Wi-Fi was gone. Alex raised an eyebrow. Dude, not today. He picked up his phone. No signal. No LTE. No network. Something was wrong. And that something was right outside the window. He pulled back the curtain and looked outside. His suburb was certainly not the busiest place in Seattle, but today everything looked dead. Cars were parked haphazardly, and bags of groceries were scattered on the sidewalks. The air smelled of smoke. And the silence. An incredible, crushing silence. Then he saw the first figure. It was staggering down the road. Bloodstains on his clothes, a slack jaw, a strange sound, a mixture of wheezing and growling. What the? Alex whispered. He ran into the kitchen. There was no mom or dad. They worked at the hospital. She was a nurse, and he was a paramedic. Alex was home alone, and it was cool, until it got scary. There was a hastily written note on the kitchen table. Alex, we had to leave tonight. Something serious. Stay home. Lock the door. Don't panic. We'll call you as soon as we can. We love you. But the phone was silent. Then he heard a sound. From downstairs. At the front door. Scrub. Scrub. Knock. Alex froze. He listened. This is no longer a game, he whispered. And at that moment the doorknob began to turn slowly. Alex stood there frozen, clutching a kitchen knife, the only thing he could find at hand. His heart was beating as if it wanted to jump out of his chest. He took a few steps back, his gaze never leaving the door. Suddenly, there was silence. The handle stopped, and then a loud bang, and then another, and another. Someone, or something, started pounding on the door, as if trying to break it open with their head. Alex thought he was about to wake up. This is a joke. This is definitely a prank. Maybe someone from TikTok decided to make a viral video, he whispered, but he didn't believe it. The blows stopped. He cautiously looked through the peephole. In front of the door stood something that once looked like a person. More precisely, a neighbor, Mrs. Henley, the grandmother who always brought him cookies. Now her eye was hanging out of its socket, and her jaw was torn in half. She slowly stared at the door and began to scrape at the wood with her bloody hands. Alex ran back, almost falling over. Fuck. This is real. This is real. He closed all the windows, draped everything, checked the locks. Then he rushed to the pantry. There wasn't much there. A few bottles of water, energy drinks, a bag of chips, and his dad's old baseball bat. A bat is better than a knife, he said, rearming himself. His brain tried to put everything together in a single logic. Pushpin internet is off. There is no network. Pushpin, there are zombies on the street. Pushpin parents are not in touch. Then he heard the sound of a message. Ding. Discord was offline, but one of his friends was able to log in. A message appeared on the screen. Jaden. Hello. Are you alive? They're in the city. I'm barricaded in the garage. Kimmy says her brother was able to get on the highway, but there are roadblocks. Where are you? Alex answered instantly. Alex. At home. By myself. The street is in the ass. The internet just came to life for a minute. What is this? What happened? Jaden. They say it's some kind of infection. It started at night. The news is silent. The only thing that works is shortwave. If you find a radio, tune into 96.1 FM. Someone is broadcasting evacuation coordinates. Alex looked up at his father's old radio in the garage. It's time to move. Alex put on his dad's jacket, a backpack with a bottle of water, a couple of candy bars, and a baseball bat. He walked slowly, listening to every sound. The door to the garage went through the kitchen, a narrow corridor where every step echoed in his head. A creak. Silence. Then another creak. He took out the key, inserted it into the garage lock, and quietly opened the door. Fortunately, the garage was empty. No zombies. No people. Just tools, an old bicycle, boxes of junk, and a radio covered in dust. "Please work," Alex whispered, turning it on. At first, there was only a hiss. Then there was music. Old rock. And finally, a voice. Speaker eye volume. "If you hear this, you are not alone. This is Emergency Broadcast Seattle. A safe zone has been established in the northern Linwood neighborhood. The evacuation lasts from 10 to 12 o'clock. I repeat, the evacuation zone is Linwood at the college. Take care of yourself. The terminally infected may react to sound. Remain quiet. 96.1. We are with you." Alex froze. Linwood was almost 20 miles away. No car. No help. And with an entire town of zombies between him and hope. He checked his phone. There was still no service, but the Discord message was still in the cache. "Alex. Got a signal. There's an evacuation in Linwood. 10 to 12 o'clock. I'm on my way. Jaden." "Wait. That's suicide. You can't make it alone. I'm not far away. I have a bike. We can meet at the Safe Mart on 105th Street. Not many people go there. 20 minutes. Alex looked at his father's old bike, then at his watch, 8:46. Time was ticking. The chances were slim, but worse is to stay at home and wait for the door to be broken down. He took one last look at the house he grew up in. "If I come back, it will be a miracle." With these words, Alex pushed his bike outside and rode away. Chaos reigned around him. The smoke of a destroyed gas station. Overturned cars. Silent bodies in the streets. And those who were no longer human, scurrying between the ruins, hearing every movement. Alex drove fast. Every second was a risk. And he did not know that not only his friends were coming to meet him. Alex pedaled to the limit. The old bike creaked like an old door hinge, but it held on. He was rushing through the streets that had been ordinary life yesterday, cars, shops, people. Now everything looked like a set for a horror movie. Broken streetlights, broken shop windows, and the silence, treacherous, sometimes broken by distant screams or heavy wheezing. He stopped at the Safe Mart store on 105th Street, a large building with a broken door, darkness inside, and no sign of Jaden. "Jaden? Are you in here?" Alex whispered, holding the bat at the ready. Suddenly, there was a rustling. Then the sound of someone moving a metal shelf. Alex cautiously went inside. There was tension in his eyes, and only his heart and his own breathing in his ears. Freshly broken glass crunches underfoot. The shelves are partially looted. There is emptiness everywhere, and the smell of death. "Jaden? It's me." "Sure." Someone abruptly grabbed him from behind. Alex almost hit him with the bat, but stopped at the last moment. "Jaden? You idiot. I almost killed you." Alex whispered. "Shoo. They're here," he whispered, pointing to the other end of the store. Two zombies roamed behind the cash registers, their faces once familiar, the store security guard and the salesman. Now they were just predators of smell and sound. One of them slowly turned his head toward his friends. "We have about 10 seconds, Jaden whispered. "There's a back door. Let's run quietly." But as soon as they moved, a can of canned food fell off the shelf. Clang. "Shit. Run." Jaden screamed. The zombies reacted instantly, both of them rushing through the counters, falling, knocking down everything in their path. Alex and Jaden raced through the warehouse, shoulder breaking the back door. Behind them was a crash, a roar, and the sound of heavy footsteps. They burst out into the alley, hopped on their bikes, and sped off. Jaden could barely breathe. "There's more bad news," he said. What else? Alex replied breathlessly. Kimmy. She's not answering. Last time she texted, she said they broke through. Her brother went to see her. If she's alive, we need to get her out. Alex swallowed the lump in his throat. Where is she? Shoreview neighborhood. About 5 miles north. Alex nodded. We'll find her. Otherwise, this is all for nothing. As Alex and Jaden drove north toward the Shoreview neighborhood, the sky darkened, as if the city itself were about to go pitch black. Fewer and fewer people were on the streets, and those who were still moving often had nothing human in their eyes. Alex held his phone in his hand, even though there was no internet connection, as he scrolled through old messages from Kimmy, the last of them. Kimmy, they're in the house. I'm on the 2nd floor. My brother is trying to hold them back. If anything, I love you fools. She might be alive. David, her brother, was in the National Guard. He could have fought them off, Alex said, though he didn't fully believe what he was saying. Jaden nodded, more serious than ever. Otherwise, we'll lose her forever. The road was getting harder and harder. There had been many attempts to stop the infection in the center, burned buses, sack roadblocks, even a few destroyed armored vehicles. But it was clear that none of it worked. When they reached the border of the Shoreview neighborhood, the signal suddenly appeared. A single line. An update from Kimmy. Weak, fragmented, as if the phone was on the verge of death. Kimmy, if you're seeing this, I'm still here. 2nd floor. The entrance is through the backyard. The door is locked. But I'm waiting. I don't want to die alone. She's alive. Alex whispered, clutching the phone. Jaden was already pulling out the gun they had found in the police car at the abandoned intersection. We have no room for error. There could be dozens of them. We go in, get her, and run. Linwood is waiting until 12 o'clock. If we don't make it, everything will be for nothing. They hid the bikes in the bushes and ran deeper into the neighborhood. Kimmy's house was 3 blocks away. The neighborhood was silent, ominous. Like before a storm, rain began to fall. The wind swayed the branches of the trees that hung over the narrow streets. Alex walked in front with a bat, Jaden behind, holding the gun he had found in the broken-down police car. Their bicycles were left behind as the neighborhood was littered with abandoned cars, rubble, and bodies. Kimmy's house stood on the corner of 12th Street. The door was ajar. I don't like this, Jaden whispered. Alex went inside silently, holding the flashlight from his phone. The living room was scattered with things, signs of a struggle. The table is overturned. The TV is broken. But there was no one there. Kimmy, he called softly, it's Alex and Jaden. If you're in there, come in. There was silence in response. Suddenly, a sound from above. The creaking of a board. They went up to the 2nd floor. One of the doors was closed. A whisper came from behind it. Alex. Kimmy. He pushed the door open sharply. Inside, the girl was sitting in the corner, pale but alive. She was holding a kitchen knife. Are you okay? Asked Jaden. Yeah, but my brother. He tried to get me out, but there were too many of them. I barricaded myself. We have to go. There's less than an hour left in the evacuation, said Alex. But when they got downstairs, the living room was no longer empty. 2 zombies had made their way inside. One of them was Kimmy's brother. And oh, she screamed, but Alex clamped her mouth shut. He's not him anymore. The situation was becoming critical. Jaden raised his gun and took aim. I'll cover you. You guys take the back. 3, 2, 1. The explosion of a gunshot broke the silence. The zombie went down. Alex grabbed Kimmy's hand, and they ran through the backyard, passing over fences, and finally ran to the street, where they could still get on their bikes. 10:03. We can still make it, exclaimed Jaden. But the main thing ahead was to get to Linwood, where, according to 96.1 FM, the evacuation was still underway. And time was running out. The 3 friends, Alex, Jaden, and Kimmy, drove without looking back. They raced through the half-abandoned neighborhoods, ignoring the few zombies that hobbled in the distance. Every second counted. Less than 2 hours remained before the evacuation in Linwood. But between them and salvation was a local bridge over the Thorn River, a narrow passage with concrete barriers. They reached it on their bicycles, exhausted but safe, and they saw that the bridge was on fire. One side was already on fire, an overturned car with a punctured tank, the flames spreading to the asphalt. A group of armed men stood nearby, neither police nor military. They were just survivors who decided to turn the bridge into a filter or a trap. "What the hell?" muttered Jaden, stopping behind a tree. "There's someone there, but it's not an evacuation. And it's definitely not help," Alex said, looking through the binoculars he had found earlier. Armed men stood with carbines, searching people who tried to cross. One of the men refused to give up his backpack, so they hit him with a rifle butt and pushed him back. Then they fired in the air to stop the others from moving. Kimmy was shaking. "We can't go there. They won't let us in." "We're not going through them," Alex gritted his teeth. "There's a utility pipe under the bridge. It's an old conduit for cables. My dad used to show me he worked for the city's electric company." "And you're just remembering this now?" Jaden growled. "Because I never thought I'd need it." They left their bikes in the bushes and quickly made their way down the slope to the concrete frame of the river. There was indeed a pipe under the bridge, narrow, rusty, and one-third flooded, but passable. Darkness. Rotting. Water up to their ankles. But they walked, in deafening silence. And when there was very little left, a loud whirring sound behind them. Someone, or something, was following them into the tunnel. "Quick!" Kimmy shouted. They ran out of the other side of the pipe, back into the air, turning to the side that was no longer controlled by the armed men. The road to Linwood was clear ahead. "We're going to make it. If we're not dead by noon," Jaden said breathlessly. Alex looked back to the dark opening of the pipe. A dull roar came from there, and then another. Someone was still there, and it wasn't going to give up. They had been walking for the last 2 kilometers. The bikes had to be abandoned after the pipe. Kimmy had injured her leg, and every step was difficult for her. But they couldn't stop. Ahead, behind the trees, they could already see a college. The campus of Linwood Community College, turned into a temporary base of the National Guard. Observation towers, sandbags, armored trucks, and most importantly, the loudspeaker that transmitted the signal Alex heard in the garage. "We repeat, the evacuation lasts until 12 o'clock. Please have your documents or any ID with you. Safety is paramount. Please do not approach the gate area without a command." "We're almost there," Kimmy whispered, holding on to Alex's shoulder. "We're close," he replied, though he knew something was wrong. Jaden stopped. He pointed to something by the roadside. Smoke, and a column of zombies. About 20 of them, all seemingly following a smell or a sound. They were coming out of the garage district and heading in the same direction as them, toward the evacuation gate. If they get there, it's over. The soldiers will not have time to react. "It'll be a massive infection right at the rally point," Jaden said. Alex pressed his lips together. He looked at his watch, 11:11. "I'll distract them. You two go to the gate. Tell them the danger is over. They must have time to prepare." "What? Are you crazy?" exclaimed Kimmy. "I have my battle and my voice. I also have a fully charged phone and a Bluetooth speaker. I will make noise where I need to. They'll follow me." "It's suicide," shouted Jaden. "But someone's got to do it," Alex said, already stepping aside, pulling out the portable speaker he'd used yesterday for the stream. He turned it up to maximum volume and pressed play. A loud bass thundered through the neighborhood. He ran away in the opposite direction, and the zombies followed him. Kimmy and Jaden ran to the gate. The soldiers immediately pointed their guns at them, but let them in when they showed their phones and shouted, "Zombies! Behind us! Our friend is distracting them. We need a support group, urgently." The commander immediately handed over the radio. "Everyone in position. Threat from the rear. Do not allow a breakthrough." Alex ran between the trees. The speaker was blasting tracks one after the other. Behind him was a crowd of dead people who understood nothing but noise and movement. He hid in an abandoned pavilion in the park, breathing heavily. The speakers silently burst into flames. The battery was dead. The zombies began to disperse, and one of them turned its head to the sound of his breathing. Alex was lying in a shaded gazebo, hiding behind the wreckage of a bench. The speaker went silent, and the crowd of zombies, having lost their bearings, began to slowly disperse in different directions. But one was too close. Its neck was twisted, its arms were torn, but it was coming. Right at the smell, right at Alex's breath. Not now, Alex thought, clutching his bat. The zombie took a few more steps. Alex held on, not moving, just like the old service guy on YouTube had taught him. Don't move, they're dumb, but they're sensitive to rhythm. But the trembling in his legs, the scratches, the breathing, all of it betrayed him. The zombie turned sharply toward him and screamed in its dead throat. Alex grabbed the bat and struck. 1, 2. The zombie's head smashed against the concrete slab, and more were approaching from behind the trees. 3. Then 2 more. I'm not going to make it, he realized, but they're coming. On the horizon, the rumble of engines. Shots fired. A drone hovers in the air, one of the military reconnaissance drones. Behind it is a group of soldiers with machine guns and flamethrowers. Zombies fell under a barrage of bullets. Target found. Alive, one of them shouted into his radio. Alex tried to get up, but fainted. All he could hear in his ear was a buzz. Somewhere nearby, voices. Darkness. Linwood. Evacuation zone. Kimmy stood by the evacuation bus, clutching Alex's cracked phone. Tears were in her eyes. She had almost given up. And then she heard the sound of a helicopter. After it, a medical truck. And in it, Alex. He was alive. Alex, she screamed and ran to him. His face was covered with scratches, his shirt was torn, but his eyes were alive. I promised. Gamers don't drain the rink, he whispered, smiling. The soldiers called everyone to the helicopter. The clock read 11:59. Hell was behind them. The unknown was ahead. But they were together. The temporary evacuation base, outside of Seattle. The helicopter landed on the runway, where hundreds of other survivors were already waiting. The medics immediately put Alex on a stretcher, and Kimmy and Jaden were taken to check in. They had gone through 24 hours that had shattered everything they knew about the world. But most importantly, they were alive. Alex regained consciousness in a tent full of the smell of medicine and sweat. Did I win? He asked the first doctor who came to him. He smiled. If you mean you're still breathing, yes. Later, they gathered in a small corner of the tent city. Someone brought them food and dry uniforms. Someone gave them an old tablet with a charge, not for games, just to check who was still alive. The world was changing before our eyes. The city was declared a black zone. No one returned there. The internet was starting to come to life, though only in limited places. Alex opened Discord. None of his friends were online. Most of the servers were dead, just like the people who had once filled them. What now? Asked Kimmy. Alex looked at the sky for a long time. We live, like in a survival game. But now it's not pixels anymore. But you used to be afraid to go to the store, she said quietly, holding his hand. Yes, I was. But now I know that you can die in reality, not on a wrap. So it's better to take the risk than to sit in my room and pretend everything is fine. He picked up his backpack. It contained the rest of his gear, an old gaming cap, and a dead Bluetooth speaker. It was the scariest and most real day of my life. And the longest stream in your head, Jaden added. All 3 of them laughed. A war for a new life lay ahead. But now, for a few minutes, they were just sitting together. No zombies. No fear. No game. Reality had begun.